Britain's Deadliest Bouncers, Episode 1. Quite simply, my top 10 deadliest doormen from the 90s, Liverpool versus Manchester, head to head. Gary Spers versus Desi Newman. This would have been an intriguing row. Gary Spers, an adopted son of England, after crossing the sea from New Zealand to become one of the finest all-round fighters and toughest bouncers. His fight stories are legendary and very violent, and there are plenty of videos on my channel chronicling his fascinating life. Spers was known to use weapons as well as his hands, head, elbows and feet to inflict damage. A deadly fighter, there is no doubt. Desi Newman was perhaps one of the most feared men ever to walk Manchester streets. Rumoured to have been behind multiple murders, this bear of a man is about as dangerous and deadly as they come. If you upset him, back in his prime, you are bang in trouble. I'm on the fence on this one. Spers would have been more all-round fighter, but when it comes to deadly, I'd have to give it to the big man, Desi Newman. Rest in peace. Andrew John versus Mickey Francis. Andrew John was a less-known taxman, partner of Stephen the Devil French, but no less imposing. In fact, the Devil openly says in his book, John was the only man he ever feared. I have a documentary coming up on Andrew Johns, but in a snapshot, 6'4", unbelievable athlete, represented the UK karate team and was a fearsome fighter on the doors and the streets. Sadly murdered before his time after a dispute with a former friend. Mickey Francis, one of the most respected doormen and fighters in Manchester, and for a long period one of the Man City's top hooligans. Not much footage of Mickey or Andrew John in action, but both have bulletproof reputations. I would give this one to Andrew John, as his reputation as a fighter was top of the tree in Liverpool and England. Alfie the Animal Lewis versus Graham Borman. This is a sudden matchup. Alfie Lewis, kickboxing champion of the world. This man is a force of nature and could have it on the street as much as in the ring. Sadly, Alfie killed a man in self-defence after an altercation and was later jailed for running a drug ring in the nightclub crew. Has been there, seen it and done it. One of the top men on this list. Graham Borman is a mysterious guy, absolutely lethal if stories are to be believed. He was adept at using weapons or his hands and would take on mobs as well as individuals. His best friend and feared fighter Paul One Punch Doyle called him psychotic. If rumours are to be believed, Borman sadly met his maker in the most grisliest way possible. The fact that Lewis sadly killed a man in the street and is an elite fighter should be enough, but the stories I've heard about Borman and some of the gruesome things he got up to in the underworld, I'd have to give Borman the deadliest title in this matchup. Stephen the Devil French versus Chris Bacon. Well, you don't get more elite fighters than these two. Stephen French, world champion kickboxer, and nicknamed the Devil for good reason. A vicious taxman and fighter who ran fear through Liverpool's underworld for a period. He also ran a lucrative security business for many years. Not a man to be underestimated. Chris Bacon, from a fighting perspective, is probably as elite as you get. Olympic judo specialist, pro boxer, champion unlicensed fighter, and cage fighter. If you made the mistake of messing with this guy on the door, it would be an early night. This is enough a tough one to call, but I must go with Chris Bacon, who is truly a deadly fighter on the pro circuit as well as the street. Brian Schumacher versus Billy Isaac. Brian Schumacher, a former elite boxer who captained the England squad and was also a big part of the door scene in the 80s and 90s Liverpool. Sadly, he was jailed and spent a long period of time in prison, but he's a legitimate tough guy who's up there on this list. Billy Isaac, unbeaten heavyweight boxer, but better known as a fearless enforcer who you wouldn't want rocking up on your doorstep. Lived with Dave Courtney for a while doing the doors in London and was reputably an enforcer for the notorious A-Team. I'm on the fence on this one, again. Billy Isaac, from all accounts, a dangerous man and a good fighter, but Schumacher was the better boxer, captaining the England squad, and did get jailed as well for taking a life, but that's a real sad affair, and I don't think personally he meant to do that. But anyway, he served his time. But I think I've got to shade this one to Isaac due to the reputation and tales of his deadly exploits. I've heard quite a lot of stories, which I'm not going to share on here because I haven't got permission to, from his life as an enforcer, gangster, whatever you want to call it. And from what I'm told, he was deadly. That was part one of Britain's Deadliest Men, Liverpool versus Manchester. We've got the second part coming next Wednesday. But after that, we've got Birmingham, we've got London, we've got Coventry, we've got Stoke-on-Trent, we've got all the cities where all hard men, tough men, bouncers who've worked the door in the past. I'm concentrating on the 80s, 90s, 2000s, early 2000s, because I'm not interested after the door licenses and all that came in. I'm on about the old school doorman. I did some work on the door back in the day, in the 90s, in a pub called the Glebe for a while in Stoke. I did in London, West Wickham, for a short period, a couple of years. But it does interest me that some of the tough men who used to work the doors back in the day when it was a lot more dangerous. So any names you want to put up that you think should be in any of those categories, bang them in the comments. Let me know who they are. I'll do a bit of research if I don't know them already. So I'm looking forward to that coming up. We've got big documentaries coming up, which will be on a Sunday night. It's 7 p.m. We're changing it around a bit. Wednesday, we'll have an upload 4 p.m. normal time, which will be like one of these hardest men, bit of fun type documentary. Sundays will be a bit more hard hitting, longer format documentaries. So hopefully you'll all tune in on the Sundays. I did a poll and it did say 7 p.m. was best timing. We've also got podcasts coming up, but that's going to be probably September. I've got to go in hospital for an operation, which is going to be around June or July. It's going to take me about 4 weeks to get over that, fingers crossed. And then I'm back firing. And then we can get started with the podcast. I've got the guests lined up and everything else. So that should all be around about those timings. But even when I'm in hospital, I'll have uploads on the Wednesday and the Sunday, all pre-done, which will be scheduled in. So you won't go missing without content. So I hope you're all doing well. I had a short break, just a little bit of a holiday. Was working on a bit of research and concentrating on my other business. But I'm back, and I thought this would be an interesting one to kick things off. And a lot of people did say, can you start doing series? So on a Wednesday, I'll be doing my series. So this will be the Britain's Deadliest Bouncers. And then you could put some ideas for other content that you'd like me to create as well. I'm happy to do that. So with that being said, if you can smash the likes, hit the notifications so you know when the next content comes up. www.inquirymedia.co.uk. We do blogs and different things on there. We're going to start trying to build that up. If anyone out there enjoys writing or doing true crime stuff, hit me up at contact@inquirymedia. If you'd like to do some writing for the channel, you're more than welcome. We've got another channel which you can sub to, the Inquirer Media, or the Inquirer I think it's called, on YouTube. We haven't done that much on it, but I think that is where the podcasts are going to be. So rather than be on this channel, the podcast when we start doing will be on that channel, and obviously we'll share it to all the subs on here, but you're better off subbing up on that channel. So big things ahead, looking forward to it, and until next time, I'll speak to you soon.